This hour of news and views is sponsored by Africa Muslims Agency. Africa Muslims Agency, a beacon of hope to communities for over 35 years in Africa and beyond. We've come to the back end of our show, and I think this is going to be a very heartwarming story that we'll be looking at right now. We'll be speaking to in a bit, Aziz Tayob. Aziz wrote a biography of his dad's architectural career that has spanned over 5 decades. His dad, Aziz Tayob, was the first architecture of color in South Africa. And this Father's Day on Sunday, June 16th, the children of local architect Aziz Tayob honored their dad with the release of his biography titled Going According to Plan, The Architectural Journey of Aziz Tayob. It spreads over 160 pages in full color. It unveils a remarkable journey through his many projects that demonstrate a meticulous attention to detail and thought. His creations not only left a lasting impression on clients, but also introduced their transformative power of architecture to many who encountered it for the first time in their lives. And I will be joined in a bit by one of the authors and big contributor of this book is the son of Aziz Tayob, and that is Aziz Tayob, who's joining us via StreamYard. Aziz, thank you so much, Jazakallah, for joining us, and welcome to Salam Media.
Assalamu alaikum. Thank you for having me, and welcome. Thank you to the listeners for tuning in.
I'm sure a very, very proud moment for you, holding the book, in your hands, the work of your father that has spanned, for so many years. Just give us, insight into the work that you guys have put into making sure that this book is published, and also what ignited it, what inspired you taking this step, which I can tell you is very, very appreciated, by those that know the work of Aziz Tayob and the legacy that he has left behind.
Yeah, I actually, I don't know. I'm not sure where the journey started, but my dad always gives stories to people. His life, his difficulties. It was apartheid, all those days, and then obviously there's achievements. So we always said, his love story, and people said, "You must write a book," and nobody plans to write a book, but we actually said, okay, it ended up becoming a book of the journey, and then when we initially it was just architecture. It's supposed to focus on architecture. But as we're sifting through the material, we're saying, no, this is more than just buildings or projects. It's actually it's much more than it. It's like a journey. It's a life. It's difficulties. It's all of those things together. And then we also it's actually overlaying with apartheid, and obviously then the change in government and all those issues. So we thought this is an opportunity, and then we kind of took the journey, and we ended up where we are with the book.
And you mentioned that the formal writing of the book started about 18 months ago, but its foundation was laid over many years. Can you share more about the process of collecting and categorizing the the archival material? Because I'm sure there was a lot of it, and you guys were sifting through so much information and blueprints, I assume. Just take us through the process itself, and how you guys went about it.
Yeah, so I think there's also, like, everybody, there's a lot of stories. A lot of people have stories to tell. So maybe it's a good thing you're asking me. Maybe it's a guide of how people can look at compiling their own stories or stories of their own families. Look, we had photographs. We sorted them out. We had drawings. Properly labeled them. But then it's also now starting to put it together. You can't put everything because you have to curate the work. So that's what we did. And then as we're curating, we saw these missing pieces, and when we kind of tried to make sure the dates tie in. Obviously we were not there all the time, so and then we asked a few people. I asked my dad certain things, and I made some notes. I took his notes, and then we kind of made sense of it. It had to go into a book. It started we thought maybe 70 pages, and it became 90 pages, 100 pages, and we ended up with 160 pages. It was an amazing journey and a learning experience for I think for me, and I think for many others around us.
And coming to the book itself, Aziz Tayob's work is known for its meticulous attention to detail and being very, very transformative. Can you highlight some of the most significant projects, that made it to the book, and what made them stand out particularly?
Yeah. So I think there's many, but if I can go maybe to the start. Look, my father, his thesis, when we looked at it, it was on masjid design.
Hmm.
So you could just say, okay, masjid design, but if you go to the 60s, and then masjids were designed by, you could say, like by non-Muslims. They, whatever, obviously the intentions might be good, but they don't understand the religious aspects, the social aspects of it. So my father's thesis was on mosque design, masjid design. So he's the first few mosques he did. You can see it's set of like a motion of understanding. It's obviously there's the ritual aspects, and there's the community aspect. So it's sort of that kind of thinking. So sometimes you take things for granted, but I think that's what came out from the I think the early works, especially that influence on masjid design. And then obviously I would say there's my dad also. You pick up where there's there's the one, things must be right. They talked a lots about ethics and things like that. It's there's no shortcuts. If it's wrong, you must fix it up. Those kind of those things come out. And obviously, it's and sometimes in that same thing you get tensions coming out, because people might want the cheapest way out, or but they don't have this long-term understanding of how things should be. So that's one of the things. And then look, then as there was few. I mean, I would say, like, could say award-winning residences. There were there was a whole lot of it spread out to other projects.
As I'm listening to you speak, I can hear that there are bits of nuggets of wisdom that you obviously picked up from your dad. When you speak about how meticulous he was, and not taking shortcuts, and paying attention to detail. What was it like growing up with Aziz Tayob as a father? How did he balance his professional life with his responsibilities and roles within the family?
Yeah, I think, look, obviously you obviously did, we looked up to him. You really appreciated the work he did. But I think this book, maybe it took us back. We understood now, maybe the why was it like that. I think if I go right back, it was always I mean, okay, it was like, you had to apply, and you had to get permission, so, and you had to be, and then the only they allowed you only, like, the only, like, Indian in the class, or that's what you allowed, because it was allowed for. So, and then when you're working, you're also the only, like, person of color. Eyes are on you. The people want you to fail. It's like that human nature. So that whole, you could say that I think we could understand where all this approach to life comes from. People are, like, doubting you. I mean, I quoted something. That people would tell him, why do I need to pay you as an Indian? I can get a white architect instead. That was things he faced. I mean, I put that in the book because that was that was his that made him as well. That influenced him, how he tackled projects.
Yeah, I think very, very interesting. And another interesting fact that I saw, as I was skimming through my research, is the fact that Ismail Vardi, wrote the foreword to the book. He's an activist, former MP, someone that was really, really entrenched in the struggle in South Africa. How significant was his contribution, and what perspective does it bring to the story of your father's life and career for those that want to read the book?
Yeah, look, I think we as a family we always admire Ismail Mahdi, and then this was, so it was a special, like an extra, like, it was almost like an honor. It was an honor actually to have him. And then, but I think Ismail Mahdi, his piece, it kind of almost understood what we realized when we started the book. It was more than just architecture. It was about it was this activism. It was this social justice and all. And the same aspects which I know we see in Ismail Mahdi's life, we could see in my the book we wrote. So I think we were very appreciative of Mr. Mahdi's the foreword he wrote.
And just your final thoughts and message. What do you hope readers will take away from your father's biography, and what message do you think his life and career convey to both aspiring
Yeah.
architects and the broader community? Particularly for people of color, young people of color who are trying to make their ferry into different careers. Some of them are the first or the second or the third
Yeah.
person. In a certain occupation or career, or maybe even in school, in university studying. What could be the key takeaway from
Yeah.
your father's legacy that they could learn?
Yeah. I think if you look at the title, "Going According to Plan," it's okay. It's a play on words. It's play on, like, you have plans. In your life, you have plans. You have your where you think you want to go, but there's things around you which dictate it. But I thought also in more the spiritual aspect. Ultimately, it's the Almighty. The plan is going to be up to the Almighty, and then you should see it as a journey, and embrace it, do the best you can do, and yeah, and develop with it. And I think that the book is sort of testament to that. Where you can see after 50 years, there was no like giving up, or you might have had just disappointments, but you pick yourself up and you kind of move on. So I
Mm.
think that if anything, like, that's one. And then I think the other thing is, we always talk of telling our own stories, and I think it is achievable.
Mm, Definitely. And those that want to, get themselves the copy of the book, where can they get it? And also, what was it a coincidence to have it released on Father's Day?
Um, I think we it was printed on the Monday, and then
Mhm.
we just decided now when to do it. And my kid said, no, Father's Day is on Sunday, and then that was it. We said, no, then it can't be any other day. We have to do it, even if it's like a mini launch. We'll have to do it on that day. So we put it off.
No, I think that was a beautiful touch there, to have it out by Father's Day. And those that want to get a copy, how can they get it? How do they get hold of you guys?
So I've got it at the local bookstore, Ikra Books or Ikra Agencies in Laudium. They have a few copies. Yeah, so that's where you can get it from.
All right, perfect. Hanif, I think we're going to leave it there. Thank you so much for sharing, a piece of your father with us. I think this is going to be a book that I'll definitely be looking into. And I think a lot of, especially young people, of color, that are looking to, go into different industries could, take a look at and just learn some very, very important lessons from your dad. Really, really appreciate you giving us your time. Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum salam. Thanks.
That was Hanif Tayob there, giving us insight on a very, very special book that has been released. It's called According to Plan, The Architectural Journey of Aziz Tayob, who's ultimately became one of South Africa's first architects of color. I think this is going to be a very interesting read, just to get into the mind of someone that was, of color during the apartheid regime, and was trying to, make inroads in a career that doesn't have previous examples. There's no one that looks like you, that sounds like you, that was in this space before, and you're essentially the one that's paving way for others that are supposed to be coming after you. So I think it's really, really interesting book, and one that you should be looking for. And yeah, we've come to the end of the show. It's been another brilliant one. Really, really appreciate you giving us your time and keeping us company for the last 2 hours. And I think right now, keep it tuned to Salam Media. We'll be playing out the inauguration of the president live. And I think that's one thing to be looking forward to. All of the pompous and the color, and all of those things that supposed to make us feel proudly South African, as the seventh administration finally starts taking shape. There'll be lots of conversations around it. Different announcements, a lot of different announcements that are still going to be made about what ultimately our government is going to look like. And yeah, really looking forward to that. But we've come to the end of our show. Really, really appreciate you giving us your time, and I hope to see you again tomorrow. But for now, from me, Salala Makwidira, and the rest of the team, it's goodbye, and we'll see you again on the Thursday edition of News and Views. Assalamu alaikum.